Christopher Columbus, an exceptional sailor and explorer that discovered something unequivocal on this 15. America. This is the story.
First, we will start off by explaining which were the main motivations that led to the discovery of America. On the 15th, there was a very known trading route which was mainly used by Europeans and Asians, called the Silk Route. This trading route was mainly focused on silk, which was a pretty expensive resource on the 15th century, causing tons of conflicts because of it. Since the Europeans had to walk through Turkey to get to Asia, the Turks decided to make everyone pay some fees for passing through there. So, due to that, Christopher Columbus tried to find an alternative route to Asia, with the objective of making more money, expand their territories, and to spread their religion, gold, glory, and God.
Sadly, Christopher didn't have all the things on his favor, since no one wanted to navigate with him. In addition to that, Christopher didn't have enough money to buy a boat and some food for the trip, so he decided to convince Isabel, the queen, of financing him. Later on, after they convinced her and meanwhile they were navigating, they realized that they didn't have enough food left, so they had to pass some hunger until they arrived to America. Inside the castle, before arriving to America,
I will make you rich, but you will have to believe in me. I will find an alternative route to make more money.
Then I will finance you so you better do your best.
I won't make you regret this. I'm not known as Columbus for nothing.
Finally, when they came back, Christopher and the other sailors told to Isabel what they discovered, and from that day on, for better or for worse, they started to trade, socialize, and fight with the Americans. Christopher accomplished one of the most important things in history without even realizing or wanting to at all.
We are located in the year 1453 with the existence of two very important routes, the Silk Route and the Spice Route. The Spice Route trade is a commercial activity that consists in the commercialization of spices, incenses, cannabis, and herbs.
The route of spice passed through Ganzhou, Lanzhou, Kashgar, Baghdad, and Antioquia. It is a distance of over 40,589 kilometers. The Silk Route stretches across the Asian continent connecting China with Mongolia, the Indian subcontinent, Persia, Arabia, Syria, Turkey, Europe, and Africa. It is a distance of over 7,185 kilometers.
For many years, Chinese merchants mainly transport not only silk, but also skins, tea and spices, in exchange for gold and silver, precious stones and wool. These roads were broken by the Ottoman Empire with the fall of the Byzantine Empire, and thus simulate the exploration of a sea route around Africa and activated the era of discoveries.
We are located in the year 1453 with the existence of two very important routes.
At 40, the kingdoms wanted to be more powerful and rich. Explorers wanted to find an alternative spice route because they had to pay taxes to the Ottoman Empire. Christopher Columbus convinced the Spanish king and queen to finance him the trip to find an alternative spice route. So, what were the motivations that made King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella finance Columbus's voyage?
The first motivation to explore the world was glory. Leaders, kings and queens, saw exploration as an opportunity to have more lands and to be more powerful than the others. There was a big rivalry between the Portuguese kingdom and the Spanish kingdom. Because of that, each kingdom wanted to be more powerful than the other. The discovery of land in the New World would later become motivator for people to seek personal fame there.
The second reason to travel the world was gold. Explorers saw exploration as an opportunity to become rich. Countries such as Spain, Portugal, England, France, and the Netherlands also to control trade routes and land that would make them more powerful. They wanted to find an alternative route because they had to pay taxes to the Ottoman Empire. The best way to get more money from trade was to avoid certain expenses.
The last motivation was God. The explorers, kings, and queens wanted to convert people to Christianity. Religion was also an excuse for enslaving, which allowed kingdoms to participate in the slave trade. Those were the three motivations that made King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella finance Columbus's voyage. The discovery of America was a very important part of history, but to travel the world, they needed some tools.
Compass is an instrument used for navigation and orientation that shows direction relative to geographic cardinal points. Usually, a diagram called a compass rose shows the directions north, south, east, and west on the compass face as abbreviated initials. The first compasses in ancient Han Dynasty China were made of limestone and naturally magnesite or of iron.
Printing is a process for reproducing text and images, using a master for a template. The earliest non-paper products involving printing include cylinder shells and objects, such as the Cyrus cylinders and the cylinders of Nabonidus. The earliest known form of printing as applied to paper was woodblock printing.
Port are navigational maps based on compass, direction, and estimated distances observed by the pilots ocean. They were first made in the 13th century in Italy and later in Spain and Portugal. Later 15th and 16th century are noted for their cartographic accuracy.
Is small, highly maneuverable sailing ship developed in the 15th century by the Portuguese to exploring along the West African coast and into the Atlantic Ocean. The Latin sailing gave it speed and the capacity for sailing inward. Caravels were used by the Portuguese for the oceanic exploration, voyaged during the 15th and 16th century in the Age of Discovery.
Astrolabe is an elaborated inclinometer historically used by astronomers and navigators to measure the inclined position in the sky of a celestial body, day or night. It can thus be used to identify stars or planets, to determine local latitude given local time, to survey or to triangulate.
Portuguese discovered are the numerous territories and maritime routes discovered by Portuguese as a result of their intensive maritime exploration during the 15th and 16th centuries.
Portuguese sailors were at the vanguard of European overseas exploration, discovering and mapping the coast of Africa, Canada, Asia, and Brazil, in what became now as the Age of Discovery.
The project to find the sea route to India was devised by Juan II of Portugal, a measure to reduce the cost of trade with Asia, in an attempt to monopolize the trade of spices.
With a stronger presence maritime of Portugal and Juan II, his kingdom began to transform in an empire, but after taking the discovery of America as Castile. Most pilgrims start in Porto, but many also walk the 620 kilometers from Lisbon to Santiago. The Lisbon-Porto stretch has less support for pilgrims.
The expedition began in July 1486. The navigation between Lisbon and Cabo Verde was the usual, and from here the routes were diverted offshore for 2 months following the recommendation of days.
On the other hand, the trip along the east coast of Africa was not described by Álvaro Bello.
The golden age of discovery for Portugal was the late 14th and 15th. The Portugal age of exploration was promoted by Henry the Navigator, who was motivated to break the Moorish hold on the African and Asian trade routes.
Two of the Portuguese explorers are Vasco da Gama and Bartolomeu Dias. Vasco da Gama was born in 1967 and he died in 1524. This is his route to the India. Bartolomeu Dias was born in 1450 and he died in 1500. This is his route to the south of Africa. The Native Americans lived in a very archaic way, similar to the way people lived in the Neolithic. The principal native population was divided in 3 civilizations: the Inca Empire, the Maya civilization, and the Aztec Empire.
The Inca Empire became very powerful because of its leaders and strong warriors. They dominated all villages on the path and imposed their own language, the Quechua.
Their principal deity was Inti, the god of sun. They also venerated strange places or things, called huacas. They could be rocks or mountains, with curious shapes, and they sacrificed kids and llamas asking the huacas for help.
In less than 50 years, the Incas became the most extended empire in America. Their good organization and their strong leaders made them dominate all on their path. The Mayans appeared all around Mesoamerica, but they suddenly disappeared. 200 years later, they appeared again in Chichen Itza, but in a less powerful way. They were pioneers in arts, metallurgy, and goldsmith.
The Maya's life was led by the religion. All was about their 5 principal gods: Hunapku, the creator, and his son Itzamna; Chak, the god of the rain and agriculture; Apuch, the god of the dead; and Yunkach, the god of the corn.
The Mayans were experts in arts, such as pottery and monument building. Their ceramics had animal or human shape, painted and engraved, and their buildings were the most perfect of the New World.
The Aztecs controlled the whole center and south of Mexico.
1 year after the death of the king Moctezuma II, the Inca Empire fell at the Spaniards, because nobody could control that huge territory properly.
They thought the gods acted for good or for bad, and they tried to change their actions, spilling blood and offering human hearts to their deities. They also built the biggest buildings in the ancient America.
The division between territories and tenseness because of the pro-independence made the Spaniards easier to conquer the Aztec Empire, led by Hernán Cortés.
Before the Europeans discovered America, the natives were very wild. They killed each other, but at least there were no deaths. But when the Europeans arrived there, they brought with them a lot of things. Some goods, like animals and plants, and some bad, like a bunch of diseases.
The Europeans transferred some animals with the Americans, such as pigs, horses, cattle, honeybees, among others. The Americans gave them in change a new type of animal, the turkey.
Moreover, they also changed some plants. The Europeans brought to America sugar, grapes, wine, cider fruits, and to Europe came tomato, potato, cacao, pumpkins.
Unfortunately and accidentally, there also arrived to America from the Old World a big number of diseases, such as smallpox, typhus, or the malaria, and the populations of Central America decreased, above all between the years 1532 and 1548.
Also, it is true that syphilis came from America. It didn't cause as many deaths in Europe as smallpox in America. 9 out of every 10 Americans died of it.